Meeting Tori at a local nightclub one Saturday evening was one of the best things to happen in my life. I had seen her sitting with some of her friends talking. I watched her for a while until I saw my chance to ask her to dance. When I felt the timing was right, I approached her and tapped her shoulder and asked her, "Would you like to dance?" She moved her head and looked up at me, and she said, "Sure, why not?" I was thrilled as she stood up and took my hand and led me over to a quieter area of the dance floor. We began to chat as we moved to the music. I introduced myself as Gary, and then she told her name was Tori. As we chatted, she took my thoughts back by saying, "I love your hair." Hearing this sure caught me off guard, as I found myself stuttering to say thanks to her and adding, "That's a first for me." Laughing, she said to me, "It's okay, I'm a hairstylist and I notice great hair like yours." Her retort to me made perfect sense. Why wouldn't a girl in her profession notice hair and make mention of it? I think we had danced to 3 fairly quick tempo songs. That's when the music slowed and I went to leave the floor. "Hey," Tori said, "you can't dance slowly?" Looking at her, I said, "I thought you might want to rest." Tori laughed and told me, "Don't think, just get back here and let's dance, Gary." Without hesitating, I moved back towards Tori and placed one arm around her shoulder and other by her waist. We moved slowly to the beat of the music. "You know, Tori," I told her, "I have been thinking of maybe putting a streak or 2 in my hair to make it look a bit better. I know it's a mousy brown, but do you think that might work out?" She did not say a word as she looked me over. Then once the song was done, she asked me to come over to her table. I went with her as her hand took mine once more. She tugged away until we both had a seat, then she picked up her drink and took a sip and made a sigh. "What's wrong?" I asked her. "Well, Gary, I have been thinking about your question you asked me earlier." She said, "Your hair does need a little something in terms of color, but I'm afraid you wouldn't go along with what I feel I would need to do to it." Her saying this piqued my curious side, and I asked her, "Not sure I understand you, Tori." A smile came over her face as she knew I was interested in what she had to say, so she told me first off I would need to do a cut to shape your hair into a new coif, then after that I would use full foils with 4 or 5 shades that were very close in color to give your hair more definition, which by the way would come from the cut I would do on you. I had a sense that she was teasing with me by saying I wouldn't dare try what she just told me. I have to say it did sound intriguing, so I told her, "You know, Tori, I think you may be correct in what you tell me, so why not, let's try it on me." "Really?" she shot back. "Do you realize that this procedure will take hours, and once I cut and then put on the color there's no turning back, it's permanent." "Well, I start a 3 vacation next week, so you can go to town on my hair next week. Would that work for you?" On hearing this, Tori took her purse, opened it and removed a card. She jotted down something then handed me the card. Looking at it, I saw a big 2 o'clock and the word "next Saturday." The address was also on the card's front with the salon's name, which was Curl and Dye House of Beauty. "Nice name," I mentioned, to which Tori replied, "Thanks, we do curl and dye hair a lot there. The beauty part depends on the client." She smiled and then we both laughed. Then I told her, "Well, 2 o'clock it is and I'll be there, no problem." "You better show I have great plans for you and your hair," she shot back. We went back to sit down and continued talking to one another until her friends came back. Tori introduced me to them. One's name was N and the other was Christy. I shook their hands and we exchanged pleasantries as they sat down. Not surprising to me, Tori announced to them both that I had agreed to an appointment with her for foil highlights the following Saturday. "Nice," and said to me, "Tori is a great stylist and you can trust her judgment 100%. Christy also told me with a positive tone in her voice that Tori is the only one she would trust with her hair. All of this had me feeling that I was making a good decision and whatever Tori had in mind for my hair would be satisfying to me. The rest of the evening went by wonderfully as I stayed at the table talking with them all. At one point I even found myself up on the dance floor with the 3 at the same time. I had never done this before, and with 3 such good-looking women paying me attention, I missed most of what they were talking to each other about, so I just nodded my head when I thought I was being asked something without really knowing what I was replying to. At night's end we departed our separate ways. Tori gave me a nice kiss and reminded me to not be late, and both Anne and Christy pecked my cheek. I then left them and headed home. The next week was uneventful as I went around doing my business at the call center I worked at. By Friday evening I was dead tired, and when I got home I flopped down and quickly fell asleep. I woke around 10 that evening and felt hungry, so I headed out to a local fast food spot to grab a bite. The place I liked was sort of a greasy spoon, and when I went in to place my order I saw Christy inside. I went over to her and said hello and asked her if she remembered me. She laughed and said, "Silly, of course I do, Gary. You made our night last week. You were so nice to us all," and she added I was not bad dancer either. "You still seeing Tori tomorrow?" she asked me. "Yes," I replied, at 2 o'clock for my cut and highlights. Christy half laughed but asked me if it was okay to ask a personnel question. I told no problem, shoot. Well, she started off saying, "When I saw you last week I thought, oh my god, a guy with shoulder-length hair. Now that's something you don't see every day." Smiling I said, "I've always had it long ever since I was in school. My girlfriend back then told me it was one of my best features." Christy just moved her head as to say yes. Anyways, she went on, "When Tori told us she had something special in store for you plus highlights, I figured good, he could use a proper cut and that you were a lucky guy." Continuing on, Christy said, "Tori is a magician with hair. Just you wait and see, and from she told us you will flip with what she does." On saying that, Christy left and patted my head. "You're going to be so sweet looking," she said as she walked out. I thought nothing of what she said as I ate my food and then headed back home. Once there I crashed and slept until the next morning. This Saturday I mostly surfed on the net and answered my mail. The time went by quickly as I looked at my watch and saw it was time to head over to see Tori. Her salon was not far away, maybe a 10-minute drive in my car, so I drove off hurriedly and once on the road found myself pulling into a parking spot in front of Tori's business. I parked and then got out and walked in to see Tori. She was inside at the front desk looking over a magazine. "Hi," she said as I closed the door. "Right on time, Gary." I said hello back to her. "Did not want to stand you up, Tori. I am sort of excited about doing this today." "Well, today will be a special day for you, Gary. Just think, a nice new cut and highlights. Here, let me show you the colors I am going to use." Tori then opened a folder and pointed to 5 separate shades. "All these I am showing will add richness to your drab color," she told me. I scanned over each colored hair piece. "Sort of reds and deep browns, huh, Tori?" I asked. Tori took a moment, then she said, "With these colors added to your hair properly, Gary, you will be shocked at how better it will appear." "Well, you're the professional, Tori, so I trust your judgment," I said back to her. Smiling, she asked me to go over to the middle chair, to which she pointed out, and sit while she got all she would need. I did as she told me and sat patiently while she poured powder into bowls and mixed them until they formed a smooth flowing liquid. "There," Tori announced, "all ready, let's get started, shall we?" With that said, Tori handed me a thick bundle of foils she was going to use. "Give me one when I ask, Gary, it will save me time," she told me. So I watched her movements behind me in the mirror, and once she combed my hair into sections she brought up some and said, "Foil to me." I then handed her a piece and she then placed in under the root area, and once satisfied she brushed on some of the color from one of the bowls by her. Tori worked quickly and I was handing her foils as fast as she wanted them. In the mirror I could see how she would paint on the color, then wrap the foils ends neatly and proceed on. The total time was close to an hour for Tori to have every strand of my hair wrapped into the foils. With this all done, she then rolled over a set of heat lamps and turned them on. She told me these will warm up the foils and colors to make sure your hair accepts them perfectly, Gary. So there I sat while I felt my hair bake under the heat lamps. Tori had gone into the rear of her salon, only returning when the timer went off and lamps' glow faded. On her coming back to see me, she spoke, saying, "Come over, Gary, time to remove the foils and wash your hair." Obeying her words to me, I got up and sat down at the wash sink while she placed a cape over me. With this accomplished, Tori began to undo the foils and discard them in the sink. Now as the final one was removed, she ran the water until it was warm, then she washed and rinsed my hair until she was pleased the entire excess color was rinsed away. Looks fabulous, Gary, Tori told me. Now over to my chair and I'll start the cut. So again back up and over to her chair, I sat down and once I looked into the mirror I could see how my hair looked. Tori, I said, my hair is great, the colors look good. Just wait, she said, after I cut and dry it, it will look even prettier. I moved my head up and said, prettier, Tori, that's funny. Yesterday when I saw Christy she said something similar. I think sweet was the term she used. Be quiet, Gary, Tori told me, just watch as I do my magic. Once more I did not ask further to what she had in mind. I just sat still as she combed and began to cut away at my hair. As she snipped away I was getting the feeling this was no ordinary cut, as no one had done what she was now doing. I had to ask her, Tori, if I may ask, isn't this a bit of a feminine cut you're doing for me? Tori said to me, now Gary, I told you a nice coif was what I had in mind last week. It is sort of a new unisex cut, so just relax and wait until I am done to protest, okay? She did not wait for a reply, she just went about cutting my hair until the final bit was shaped with a razor. There now to get it ready for drying, she said. I was still in a daze as I watched her use a large round brush and blow dryer. With these objects she began to lift up my hair and blow it dry. She rolled the hair with the brush tightly and repeated her steps over and over until my hair was dry. Tori checked it and cut away the unwanted pieces of hair around my neck area. My eyes just stared forward and my mouth gaped open. Very pretty, isn't Gary? She asked. Tori, I said, this is a girl's hairstyle you have given me. Saying nothing, Tori spun me around and she put her hands onto mine. You know, Gary, she said, from the first time I saw you I thought that you would look so great in this style. Now with the streaks, can't you see this is the real you? It was hard to say no to her as my hair shone under the bright lights of her salon. The streaks made it look so wonderful, and it was just the style that I was having trouble with. Tori, I asked, you said a unisex style, so I am assuming my hair can be done differently to look more masculine then. She did not answer as she stared at me. Then after some time had gone by, Tori said, this style I gave you can be done in many ways, Gary, and I can show you another one if you like, but you will have to be good about it to let me do it. Before I could answer she bent down, kissed my cheek and whispered to me, Gary, I have a confession to make, so listen closely. I was all ears as she continued on, I would like to curl up your hair, do your nails in a pretty red color and dress you up to look as a girl. What I said, Tori, no way. Oh, come on now, Gary, be adventurous for me and let's have some fun, she said back to me. Well, she kept up her act and I found myself with little else to do but agree to her making me into a girl, so I mustered up my courage and said, okay, Tori, you do this, but promise me I will be returned to my old self, okay? With a squeal in her voice, Tori jumped up and within a minute my hair was being washed and rinsed before I found myself sitting back at her styling chair. You wouldn't regret this, Gary, Tori cooed. Then I watched as she rolled over a tray of curlers that she began to roll my hair into. This will be fun, Gary, just go along and don't worry, Tori said to me. With nothing to say to stop her, Tori went to work. She rolled up my hair quick. I was feeling ashamed as she kept telling me how gorgeous and pretty I would soon look. Her voice actually became somewhat stern and more commanding as she began to tease me and tell me that I had wanted her to do this to me. In fact, at one point she said, Gary, only girls get so many colors in their hair. You wanted to do it because you want to be a girl, don't you? Tell me yes, Gary, that you want me to make you into a girl. For some crazy reason I found myself telling her just what she wanted to hear as I sputtered out to her, yes, Tori, I want you to make me look like a girl. I knew you would say yes. Now before I go on, what name can I call you that will soon be more appropriate? Do you have anything in mind? She asked me. Not really, Tori, I said back to her. Okay, then how about I call you Bri or Brianna? She asked. Then she said, never mind, your new name will be Brianna. I like that for you. It was settled and Tori went back to curling up my hair in the yellow rollers. You will be totally shocked once I am done, Brianna, Tori said. Even though I started off unsure about all of this, I think Tori had either brainwashed me or deep down I had wanted to do this. Now looking in the mirror I could see her put the final curler in place. There, you're set now to get you under the dryer, Brianna, she said. Tori now wasted no time as she had me up and under a dryer. She turned on the heat and lowered the hood over my head until I could barely see out. Tori showed me a timer and turned it to 45 minutes and then placed it down in front of me. I was then left alone only long enough for Tori to go and get her manicuring station, which she was now rolling over towards me. She positioned it in front of me and sat down. My hands were then placed into a soapy warm water solution. They stayed in the liquid until Tori took my one hand. She then gently wiped it dry and began to give me a manicure. Her hands were soft and she worked away by first pushing up my cuticles, then cutting them away with a pair of very small scissors. She then used a pumice-type sponge to reshape each nail until they looked more feminine. Once she had one hand completed, she went to work on the other, doing the same thing until both my sets of nails were ready for her to paint. Now Tori said to me, "Let's get you colored with a nice fashionable shade of red, Brianna." My eyes scanned down as she went to work. A first coat was applied, then a second coat. Once dry, a top coat was polished on and my nails now stood out under the lights. My nails looked so good it was hard now to contain my excitement. Tori noticed and she asked me, "Brianna, my sweet, I am feeling you like your red nails, am I correct?" "Oh yes, Tori," I told her, "they look lovely and you did such a good job." "Well, no time to waste chatting here, your hair's dry, so let me take out the curlers and get your style done." The dryer was now turned off and the bonnet lifted for me to get out and up over to the styling chair. I sat down without being told and watched as Tori slowly walked over. "Tori told me I'll get your hair done first, then get your makeup on before we get you dressed, Brianna." With a fixated stare, I gazed in the mirror to see Tori removing the curlers. My hair fell down and bounced back up. It looked so much bigger, I had to say to her, "Tori, my hair grew." She laughed and told me, "Brianna, that's what beautiful hair does. When it has been curled, it looks so much fuller." The last curler came out and Tori went right to work by first brushing my hair in different directions. She then used a comb to tease it and fluff it into place. It was unreal to see as she soon had my hair into a softly curled style. It looked so large, even bigger than the smooth style she had first done. "Time for your makeup now, honey. Now over here and let's get going," she called out. So it was now over to another area of the salon. I sat down and Tori began to say to me, "I have two wonderful products, Brianna, that will help me a lot in giving you very ladylike features. The first is this cream." She showed me a tube and went on saying, "This product will remove any facial you have in minutes and the regrowth will take some time, so relax and do not worry if you feel a slight sensation, that is normal." Tori then leaned me back and began to apply the cream over my face and neck area. She said, "Luckily, Brianna, you are not too hairy, so the cream will work even quicker than it is supposed to." This cream, once put onto my face, gave me a tingling reaction with a little warmth. I sat there while Tori looked at her watch, and my feeling is 5 minutes had passed before she used a warm damp cloth remove the cream that was left. There she said, "Your face is perfect, Brianna, very smooth and silky feeling." She slowly ran the palm of her hand over my face, smiling and saying, "You will love the new you, Brianna." My face was now ready for her and I was raised up to an erect position. Tori then picked up a pair of tweezers and began to pluck away at my eyebrows. "I need to make a nice arch on them," she told me. Tori took her time and removed as much of my brow as needed until she was happy. "You look so much better now, Brianna, now I can make your face come to life," she said. Now a foundation was smoothed over my face by her. She used a sponge and blended away with it, and once she was done she used a brush that she dipped into a powder to dust onto my face. "This translucent powder will set the makeup, Brianna," I was told by her. Eyeshadows followed. I think Tori used 3 different colors. She brushed it on from my inner eye outwards. With a lining pencil she created a black line just over and under my eyelids. "You're looking very sexy, Brianna," she told me with a smile. At this point I was feeling like I wanted to see for myself how I was appearing, but Tori would not let me until she was done, and she said, "Now, Brianna, you just have to wait and see the new you." Her attention now turned towards my lips. She told me, "This is another new product I have found, and it will actually enlarge your lips to make them look nice and pouty, Brianna." She showed me a clear tube-like cylinder and then she opened it and began to brush its contents over my lips. "It will definitely tingle, Brianna. Just let it work while I go get something else I just know will make you look pretty. Tori made sure to apply a thick coating onto my lips. Once on it gave me an immediate sensation, as unreal as it seemed I could almost feel my lips inflate. On Tori's return she told me, "Oh Brianna, your lips look divine, nice and large now, and with this lipstick they will look just delicious." She now used a lip lining pencil to draw an outline over the outer portion of my lips. She then filled them in with a rich moisture lipstick that she told me will make me look fabulous. Then over the lipstick she added a high gloss, very sweet, she said with a smile. My cheeks were next and Tori brushed on a reddish toned blush. "This will allow me to contour your features, Brianna, and have you looking very feminine," I was told by her. All of her attention to the detail needed to make me over was, I feel, making Tori excited. She at one point said to me, "You're even better looking than I thought you would be." Her telling me this really made my curious side itch as her attention turned to my brows and lashes. Tori picked up a black pencil and drew in on my brows. After that she used a brush with a firmer bristle on it to blend the color and not make it look too harsh. For my lashes she glued on a number of false ones. All have 3 long lashes attached to them. "These will really bring out your eyes, Brianna," I was told. "You're all done now," she told me. "I think you look incredible. Your hair is a perfect updo and your makeup is flawless. Here, let me spin you around so you can see." As she turned me and I became visible to myself, what I saw back in the mirror of my reflection made me gasp. I was looking at a very attractive woman. My hair was done up in a series of large and small curls, all pinned into place on top of my head. My newly inflated lips looked unreal as the color and gloss made them appear ever so large. My eyes, though, that was the biggest thrill. They now appeared so open and wide with the colors of shadow Tori had used, and my lashes with the extras added by her looked so full and thick my hands shook, and I looked over at Tori and told her, "My God, I look so convincing. Is it real me?" Tori only laughed as she told me, "Just wait now. Once you are dressed and in heels you will look even hotter." So here I was with my hair done up and made over. My stare to see my reflection was still turning me on, maybe more than ever. I was certainly speechless. Tori broke my concentration by saying to me, "Go in the side room and come back out only wearing the light blue panties, and be sure to not mess up your hair." Obediently I got up and went into the room. I slowly undressed and found the panties Tori had told me to put on. They were silky feeling, and once I had in place over me I had a warm feeling as the material clung tightly to me. I took time to admire myself in a full-length mirror, and then I stepped outside the room to find Tori holding the hair-removing cream. She asked me to hold still while she scooped out some of the liquid, which she quickly began to rub over my legs, chest, and under my arms. "We girls must have smooth skin everywhere, Brianna," she told me. As with my face I waited for 10 minutes before Tori used a warm cloth to remove the cream and all of my remaining hair that was not needed. Tori ran her hands over my now hairless body to be sure all unwanted hair was now gone. She was happy as I was told to sit. "Now we need to get your feet ready, dear," she said, "so time for me to do a pedicure and paint your toes as well." I just sat and watched her first separate my toes using a cloth. She then cut away the cuticle area, and with a small circular motorized device she smoothly sanded down my toenails until they ready for the polish. As with my fingernails, Tori painted on 2 coats, waiting until each was dry before applying a shining top coat. All this time I thought to myself, why I have waited so long to have this wonderful pampering done. It was like a slice of heaven, and I was feeling very good about myself right now. When Tori was satisfied, she removed the cloth that kept my toes apart so the color would not run. "Now let's see what I can get you into, Brianna." Tori now took my hand and led me back into the side room. Inside she looked through a closet and found just what she was looking for. She announced to me, "Here we go, Brianna. This gown was made for you." My eyes popped as I saw Tori was holding a powder blue evening gown that was sleeveless and had a deep low cut in the front. Disappearing once more into the closet, Tori then came out holding a corset, high heels, a bra, and nylons. "All ready now, Brianna," she said. "Now let's get you looking more presentable." I froze now as Tori placed the corset around my midsection. She said, "Now hold still while I tighten the laces. Breath out, okay, so I can reduce your waist and give you a figure." I did as she requested, and within a blink of an eye I could feel my side being pulled as Tori yanked the laces tight. I heard the words perfect from her, then she told me, "Look down, dear, and she the new you." I lowered my eyes and saw that my waist was now thinned down by many inches. I could still breathe, but felt somewhat uncomfortable, as this was very new to me. Tori did not miss a beat as she now placed the bra around my chest and fastened it in the front. "This will give you boobs, Brianna, until we can get real ones for you down the road," she said to me. As with the corset, I could feel a pinching at my sides as this bra was made to push up my skin to form a cleavage. Time was going at heartbreak speed as Tori sat me and rolled up the nylons. She then placed my foot into one and rolled up and over my leg. She fastened it to clips dangling from the corset. My other leg was then encased in the other nylon. This fabric was similar, I thought, to the panties I was wearing, very silky, and as I moved my legs I could feel a coolness come over them. With my mind still not in gear, Tori had me into the heels without me even noticing. They were 3 inches high and black. "Now up you go, Brianna, stand for me," she asked me. Doing as she asked, I stood up. The gown I had on fell down to fit perfectly over my newly formed curves. I was just a little wobbly from having heels on for the first time, but I managed to not sway too badly. "Now for the time being, Brianna," Tori started to say, "I want you to stay dressed like this until you are comfortable with your new self." Before I could anything, she continued on by telling me, "Last week you told me you had 3 weeks vacation coming up, so I want you to agree to letting me bring you along quickly to a new world of beauty and glamour, and after I am done, if you wish, you can return to your old self or continue on as Brianna." Tori's words hit me like a hammer. What she was suggesting, I thought, was now something I truly felt I wanted to try. I looked so good dressed and made over like I now was, but she was asking me to turn my back totally on my old life. So after thinking for a while, I said to Tori, "I will go along with your plan to see how I enjoy it." With that said, Tori leaped up and hugged me, saying, "You will not regret this, Brianna." It was now well into the evening as I sat chatting with Tori. She kept on telling me how beautiful I was and how lucky I was to have met her the previous week. For me, I was letting her know that I was very taken back at my appearance and how convincing I really did look, and this was no lie. My reflection of my image with my hair as it was and my makeup done flawlessly would have anybody turn their heads if I were to walk by. It was turning me on, and Tori also knew this, as my reaction was nothing short of very positive. As we spoke, Tori told me, "You know, last week when you mentioned that you had been considering some streaks for your hair." "Yes," I said. "Well, when I told you about using 4 or 5 colors to your hair after giving you a new cut and coif, you did not flinch, so at that point I knew I could make you over into Brianna without you protesting much." I thought for a second about what she had just told me. It was then that I realized she had tested me and that I passed without much objection. "Brianna," Tori called out, "this is what I want you to do for me during the following 3 weeks. Please listen carefully." Her words that she spoke to me were as follows. She began by saying to me that I would first be put on a strict diet and given a special vitamin supplement. Secondly, I would keep the corset on for most of each day so my waist would be trained to stay shapely, and that a newly formulated cream would be applied to my body each time the corset was undone and refitted around me. Thirdly, I would wear heels constantly to aid in reshaping my legs so that they would appear more feminine. This also meant having to wear higher stilettos than I currently had on, up to 6 inches high, Tori told me. The fourth rule mentioned exercise with Ann and Christy being my instructors. Finally, Tori told me that I would have my ears, nose, and belly button pierced, and that my hair would be given a body perm to add bounce and beautiful waves. When she stopped with telling me what she wanted to do over the next 3 weeks, I felt both stunned and excited. My thoughts turned to a sort of, what if she can do this? Do I want to really try it and see if I can look more ladylike? Then I felt awkward and scared as I began to realize that Tori, Ann, and Christy were up to no good. All of this had me churning inside as I sat and stewed. "Well, Brianna," Tori asked me, "what will you do? Say yes or say no and go home now?" Answering her was difficult. My mind was going like a million miles an hour, and what I was feeling from seeing my image in the mirror was confusing me tremendously. Tori was patient as she sat beside me. She did not try to force her plan on me, and eventually I told her that I would go along with her as I was finding this all very exciting. On hearing my decision, Tori got up and walked over to her purse. She opened it and took out a small bottle which she handed to me. "Brianna," she said to me, "I want you to begin taking these pills tonight, only one, then take 3 daily until the bottle is empty." I am guessing, Tori, that these are the special vitamins you mentioned earlier? I asked her. Tori nodded her head in a yes response, then she handed me a glass of water. I opened the cap and took out one small yellow pill which I placed in my mouth and then washed down with a sip of water. "That's a good girl," she said, "soon they will help you achieve all that you can be." "That's all," she said as we left her salon and headed for her home. The drive was a quiet one as I was still wondering if I was being a fool. I decided though that this was something that did excite me, and deep down I had secretly wanted to see my hair done in a girl's style, since I had watched my 2 sisters for years always doing their hair into such great styles that changed their look dramatically. I knew the feeling I had experienced when I saw my own hair in the updo that Tori now had it in was a feeling I had longed for. Going further into womanhood might just be what I have always wanted to try. With all my deep thoughts going on inside my head, I did not notice we had arrived at Tori's home. It was a small 1-story house. "Here we are, Brianna," she called out. "Let's get in and get you ready for bed and out of that gown." We did just that. We went inside and Tori led me to a bedroom. "Now you take off your dress, bra and panties and let me find you something adorable for bed," she said. I then began to slip out of the gown by removing my arms from the top straps and let it fall to the floor. Picking it up, I gave it to Tori, who handed me a pinkish-colored baby doll sleeper. "Tori," said, "you'll look dazzling in this, Brianna." I took the baby doll from her as she went around to my back and undid the ties of my corset. She told me, "I just have to remove this to lather you up with that cream I told you about before putting it back onto you." Once the corset was off, Tori brought out a jar and its contents were rubber over my chest, waist and stomach areas. "There," she said, "now back into your corset." In a second the corset was back around my waist and its laces pulled in. Tori did not tighten it as much as it had been earlier, saying, "Not too firm this time so you can sleep more comfortably. Now get your baby doll on and let me see you." Feeling somewhat embarrassed, I slipped into the baby doll. The satin material felt so nice over me that I smiled. Tori, not being one to miss a thing, said, "Oh, I see you like your nightie, even your nipples are erect." She was correct, as the sensation I was feeling was giving me more than a tingle. I told this to Tori and she then teasingly ran her fingers softly over my chest, saying, "My sweet, soon you will feel even more ecstatic." Whatever, I thought to myself, as long as it comes to feeling this good, who cares? "Now you have a good rest, dear," Tori said. "Tomorrow we can have some more salon fun and get your hair looking even prettier." I did not hesitate and went into the bed. Tori covered me up and said, "Sweet dreams, princess," before shutting the door and turning off the lights. Not realizing how tired I was, I fell asleep quickly and never gave her words a second thought. Next morning I awoke with Tori standing over me. "First lesson, Brianna, you must learn to use the washroom as a girl would, so get up." I arose and followed her into the bathroom. "Sit and relieve yourself," I was told. She stayed with me and made sure I did sit. "Good girl, now wipe yourself properly like this." She showed me by using her hand to assist mine. "Good. Now let's go get you dressed." Again I followed her out into the room, and as I removed my baby doll, Tori went into a closet and took out my attire to wear this day. I watched her, and as she re-emerged from the closet she held a full-length black jumpsuit that was made of thick cloth. "I'll get you into this once I take care of you, corset," she told me. Tori then undid the corset, sort of did an inspection before applying a generous amount of cream over me again, and she made sure this time to really massage it into my chest area. With that done, I was given panties, which I put on first, then a pair of nylon sockets over my feet. The corset was then put around me and tightened back up until my waist was reduced to give me more of an hourglass figure. Okay, Brianna, now for your outfit, I was told. Tori then got me into another very form-fitting bra, adding more cream into the cups as she fastened it in the front. She then laid the jumpsuit on the ground and told me to step into the opening. I did this, and once I was centered into it, she bent down and pulled it up over me. It clung to me like a glove. Feels very soft, I told her, adding it was the heaviest material I had ever felt. It's supposed to feel that way, my darling. It will help all that cream work into your body quicker so your curves will develop as I want them to. Tori then told me, your makeup still looks good, but we need to redo your lips with that inflation serum until they pout by themselves. So I now sat while she ran the applicator over my lips twice. The tingle was as I felt it yesterday, and she smiled and said, working as it is billed, sweetie, your lips look even more divine today. With all this done and taken care of, Tori took my hand and we went out to the kitchen where she had already prepared my morning meal. Not much for you, she said, but we need to get you trimmed, so eat up and don't forget to take your vitamin. So here I went. I sat down and ate my grapefruit plus the cornflakes. I took my tablet and from there it was off to the salon. Tori told me along the way that today she would perm my hair, then from there she would wing. She laughed on saying this. I told her that I was looking forward to it and would once more be having a wish come true. Tori immediately said, what was that you said? I had forgotten that I had not told her about me watching my sisters and feeling I would like to have tried my hair as they had always done theirs, so I thought I had better let her know this. Tori, I started to say. Then, as her attention was focused on me, I said, when I was younger, maybe 10 or 11, I used to secretly watch my sisters do their hair in hopes of seeing mine styled like theirs. She sort of half stared at me, then said, so Brianna, the truth comes out that you do have a wish to be female. Nothing more was said after that, and we soon arrived at the salon and went in. Tori went about gathering up her things while I went over to the wash area and sat myself down. She soon had her things together and came over to keep me then wash my hair. It's just going to be a very loose perm that I am giving you, that way I can style your hair in many sexy coifs, Tori told me. With my hair washed and rinsed, yesterday's style was now gone. As I sat in the styling chair, Tori rolled over the perm rods and went to work on my hair. She handed me end papers and asked that I give her one when her hand touched my shoulder. I had no trouble doing this, and I watched as began to neatly roll my hair into the rods. Unlike the curlers, these rods took Tori a bit more time, and she continually checked to be sure all the hair was wrapped correctly. No mistakes with these rods, Brianna. She smiled when she told me this. I was thinking maybe 45 minutes had passed until she had me finished. I now had a head full of white and purple rods. Tori made one last check before she began to apply the perm solution. It had quite an unpleasant odor, and Tori could see it was affecting me. Just hold your nose for a minute and breath through your mouth. The smell will soon pass and you will get accustomed to it, Tori told me. While I did this, she wrapped a cotton swatch around the outer portion of my hairline. Then once it was into place, she put the heat lamps over my head once more. A timer was set for 30 minutes, so I sat alone as Tori made a phone call. While I was sitting under the lamps, I could feel my chest becoming itchy. I wanted to scratch at it, and as I was about to, Tori had come back over. She asked, "What's wrong, Brianna?" I told her, "Tori, I have an irritating itch over my chest that's driving me crazy." Upon hearing this, Tori broke out into a huge smile. She then told me, "Please do not worry, that is supposed to happen. Remember the cream I placed in the cups of your bra?" I told her that I did recall that. She then said to me, "Well, that cream, as I told you, is a special formulation that would help you become more curvy, while the itch, as you are calling it, is just your breasts reacting to the growth hormone in the cream." Growth hormone, I thought. She had never mentioned that to me until now. "You mean, Tori, I will be growing breasts?" I asked. "Why, of course, Brianna, and they will most likely grow into a beautiful C-cup, unless I want them bigger. By the way, take your vitamin for me as well," she ordered. Tori then handed me a pill and glass of water and swallowed the pill down. That's your third pill now, Brianna. You will soon be starting to feel the effects they are going to cause on you, Tori cooed. She went on by saying, you see, that little pill is more than a vitamin, as I call it. It is actually a very potent estrogen capsule that has a quick release of female hormones to soften your skin, make your hair stop growing on places girls do not have hair, and make you soft so you will not be feeling any male enhancement to your penis. Before I could say a word, she continued on, you see, Brianna, I have all I need to make you into a girl. It does have its drawbacks though, and that is you will not be able to remember much, as the change will eventually be total, and a friend I know in the medical profession will do the final surgery to make you a complete woman. On hearing this, I wanted to jump and run, but as before I found myself not moving. Tori saw my predicament and said to me, you see, all is working perfectly as your will-to-be male is leaving you and your new female self is fast approaching. She was right, I was not able to think straight, and with what I had told her earlier, she now knew I had tendencies to try feminine ways of life. Your hair is ready now, she called out, let's get you finished. The heat lamps were turned off and I was led back over to the wash sink, and Tori leaned me back to rinse out the perm solution. Once rinsed, the rods were left in as she applied the relaxer over each rod. Now 10 more minutes until I can take the rods out, Brie, she said. While I was still lying back, Tori leaned over me and began to massage my breasts. They quickly came to life and hardened. She then found my nipples and playfully rolled them between her fingers. From my reaction to this, Tori could see I was excited, and she continued on until I burst out with a yelp. See, Brianna, being a girl can be fun, she told me. Enough fun, you're done now, let me get you finished, she was now saying. The relaxer was rinsed off and the rods were removed as fast as Tori could work. Once they were out, she washed and rinsed my hair and then had me back into her chair. Oh, look at the time, Brianna, here, have another pill, she said. Without questioning her, I took it and gulped it down. Now as I watched in the mirror, Tori went to work and dried my hair using only her fingers. I could see how wavy my hair now was as she blew and played with my hair. You'll love this style, my pet, she said as she pulled away at the ends until she was happy. There, you're done, pretty style for you as well, Brie, Tori told me. My hair was now looking so full, there were soft waves that fell down to just above my shoulders, and this style looked very elegant on me. I loved it, and I told Tori, this style is gorgeous, I just love it. I like hearing that, she said, now watch and I'll do it into a French braid, it will look so awesome on you. So again I sat still and she toiled away until my hair was done into a perfect French braid. This, Tori said, will be your style for the next week, no fuss, and it will hold until I take it out. It had been a whirlwind of excitement, and I had failed to notice that Christy had come into the shop. When I saw her, she had a big smile on her face. You look fabulous, Tori has really outdone herself this time, she said. Tori and Christy now left me as they walked away, and they began a conversation which I could not hear. Once they stopped talking, Christy came over and inspected my hands. These will not do, she muttered. I will need to give you a new set of nails, maybe make them nice and long to suit your new self. Tori called over saying, give her lovely nails, Christy, maybe something to make her be careful when she moves her hands. Christy told her perfect and rolled a cart over. She then began to remove the red polish I had on my nails. Once done with that, she used a small motorized sander to rough up each nail top. After this was done, she emptied a small container of false nails in front of me. These she sorted through until she had 10, then she used a glue to fasten each over one of my nails. By the time she had them glued and in place and had arrived into the salon, she sat beside Christy and I and said, you look just lovely, Tori has you starting to be quite a lady. I thanked her and continued to watch as Christy was now brushed an acrylic liquid over my new nails, which dried very quickly. Then a shaping my nails with the sander was done, and she made them close to an inch in length and had the ends formed into a soft point. I'll paint them silver, that color will make them really appear pretty. And with that said, Christy soon had 2 coats onto my new nails, and with a high shine top coat as the final coat, I was done. I had to admit to myself that my nails now looked totally feminine. Christy patted my shoulder, telling me how lucky I was to have 3 ladies take such a special interest in me. And who had been waiting now told me that she would be the one to make the reshaping of my eyebrows a more permanent thing, as she would use a wax to assist her. Sitting still for her, she brought over a sort of tub-like container and plugged it in. She told me it had to heat for a bit. Waiting for this to happen, and told me that the tweezing Tori had done was fine, but to make my brows perfect a waxing would be required until my facial features softened from my hormone pills. And checked the wax and found it ready, so I held steady while she dabbed over my lids. It sat for only a second or so before she yanked it off. I looked into the mirror after she had done both of my brows, and I could see how more uniformed they now appeared. Tori was now over. She had returned and was carrying a carton. Inside of this package was another 2 bottles of cream, she now opening. I was told that these 2 jars contained my second treatment for breast enlargement. Upon hearing this, Tori unzipped my pantsuit and lowered the sleeves and back area down until my bra was fully exposed. She then unhooked the clasps of the bra and began to rub this cream over my chest area as she had done earlier in the day. "You see, Brianna," she said, "this cream will make your mammary glands get into a higher than before, and your growth will be expedited." As she finished rubbing the cream over me, she then placed a large amount into each cup of the bra and then refastened it around my chest. Immediately I could feel a tingling come over my upper body. The 3 girls just watched me sort of twitch from this. Tori told them all, "See, soon her breasts will be grown, maybe another couple of days until they are ready for a regular garment." So in 2 short days I had been given my first series of beauty treatments by Tori, Christy, and my remaining 3 weeks, as I was told to by Tori, would have me looking every bit a woman, and after a visit to her colleague my change would be complete. The words I was hearing were still not sinking in fully, as my awareness to put up an argument was being taken from me by the drugs I had been given. There was no turning back for me, and the alteration of my body and mind was being done by the 3 ladies. It had now been a full 2 weeks since I had unknowingly stepped into Tori's scheme, and as I looked into the full-length mirror I can see that my breasts are forming very nicely, and they are close to a B cup at this point. My waist has reduced close to 4 inches, and without my corset on you can see a very nice curve taking place. My hair has continually been in the tight French braid Tori had put it into the previous week, and my nails were still polished in the high-gloss silver Christy had done them in. And waxing was also an ongoing ritual, and with the use of the hair-removing cream and wax, my leg, chest, and underarm areas were now totally free of any trace of hair. My pills, which I was now taking 4 times a day, were helping in my transformation, and facial features were beginning to appear. Even without the heavy makeup Tori had used, you could now see a softer face with higher cheekbones and dimpled chin, plus my lips were now full and voluptuous. My diet was being adhered to, and with exercise my weight had reduced down to 160 pounds. Even my legs had become much shapelier, as the constant wearing of the high-heeled shoes was transforming them wonderfully. This Sunday Tori had promised me a new hairstyle, one she said would be very ladylike and would surely make me feel like a woman. Once we arrived at the salon, Tori first undid my hair and let it fall loose, and it felt good to have this done. After this I was caped and brought over to have my hair washed, and while Tori did this she told me, "Well, today Brianna, I will set your hair, then give you wonderful soft curls." A smile came over my face, and this was all Tori needed to see to prove my acceptance was now total. Tori then began to wash my hair. She took her time today by lathering my head in a new bodybuilding shampoo. It was a treat for being such a good girl, I was told. After the shampoo I was rinsed and my head was wrapped up into a big fluffy towel. I already knew what to do next as I got up and walked over to her styling chair to sit into. Tori followed and wheeled her tray of curlers with her. The towel was removed from my head and my hair fell down in a mass. Using a comb, Tori then straightened out the tangles and began to roll my hair up into the different sized curlers. This was something that I now enjoyed immensely, and I always thought back to my sisters doing their hair up in curlers, then doing such great styles. As Tori kept on putting in the curlers, she told me, "You know, maybe it's time to change your hair color this week." I was thinking we can go for a nice strawberry blonde, or jet black, or how about a nice fiery red? Any of those would be so sexy for you, Brianna. I had no need to answer as I already knew from her saying this that her mind was made up and at some point this week my hair color would change. Tori had just completed setting my hair when Christy and came into the salon. They both carried a parcel which they placed down in front of me. "Open them up, Brianna," and said, so I leaned forward and took one. Inside I found a pair of black heels that looked odd. The other package contained 2 more jars of pinkish cream and a halter-type top in black with small white lines through it. These heels I was to put on right away, and since I was wearing a mini skirt the long lace-up area would be seen totally. So removing the heels I had on, I replaced them with these ones. The heel was close to 5 inches and it was spiky. I was feeling balancing was soon to be a problem for me. The halter was next, and as I stood up and helped me remove my blouse and bra, the pink cream was thickly applied over my developing breasts and the bra was replaced. My B-sized breasts were filling the cup nicely, and as I was admiring my figure and put the halter top over me and arranged it over me. The halter clung tightly to my body. It was like a wool-type fabric and it showed of my curves. "Very sexy, Brianna," Christy said as I stood there balancing on my new heels. I struck a pose for them and a round of applause is what I received from them all. "Time to get you under the dryer, darling." Tori said, "I need to get that hair dry so we can all see a new hairstyle, so come here and sit for me." I did as she asked, and as I got myself comfortable under the heat I could feel my chest begin to ache. This caused me some concern as it was a brand new feeling to me. I called out for Tori, who came over. I told her of my discomfort. Her reply back was to say that the new cream was working its magic and to not worry. This calmed me a little as my chest throbbed on, and as I looked down I could see it quivering through the outline of the halter top. I tried my best to relax as I sat under the dryer. I turned my thoughts to what sort of new style Tori would give me this time. It was about the same time the dryer was turned off that the sensation I had felt in my chest subsided. Tori was motioning for me to come and sit at her chair. I walked over to her awkwardly in the heels and sat. She then went about removing the rollers. Time went by quickly as the final roller was removed from my hair, which was now a mass of curls that fell about my face. Tori picked up a round smoothing brush and carefully combed away until she had my hair into very pretty style that had a lot of volume, especially at the back area. I really loved this look and made me look very femme, and with the halter and mini I was quite a foxy looking lady. While I sat there admiring the new style, Christy came and said, "Brianna, just look at you, you're so beautiful and sexy." Hearing this told me again I could now not refute that I wasn't a real woman, as just my image reflected just that. Tori had also come over and her hands went down to my chest. "See," she said, "they're now all grown up and you fill out your bra as you should now." I guess I hadn't been paying attention as I now looked down to see what Tori was saying. Oh my, I thought they grew, and grew they did. Christy told me that the last 2 jars of cream were the finishing touch and that I now had a C-cup boob. She laughed after saying that and came over to give me a hug. "All we need to do now, sweetie, is to get you to see my friend and your change will be complete," Tori said to me. So as you can guess, I went through with it and am now a happy girl who loves her new life. I can't thank Tori, Christy, and enough for showing me into this world. I now work for Tori as her shampoo girl and stylist in training. Not one of our customers would guess I was once Gary. They only know me as Brianna. Oh yes, my hair is now a fiery red and Tori makes sure it is kept perfect. She has begun to teach me to style it myself and my lessons are going very well. I feel in time that I will be a wonderful addition to Tori's styling team. Until then I am just enjoying my new life of being a woman. If I had ever dreamed life could be so great. Thank you, Tori, Christy, and Anne.